This is Marvel Universe Apocalypse, part of Wave 2 of Series 3, Wave 13 overall. I do like this figure a lot. He's not one of my absolute favorites. I'm doing, in celebration, I guess, of my new 1080p camera, I've been doing a lot of figures that are my absolute favorites. I really like this guy, but I've had a lot of requests for him, and I haven't reviewed him yet. And being that he is in the same wave as Cyclops and Cable, which I did review as my favorites, I thought I'd do him. I do really like him. He's just not in my absolute top favorites. Anyway, on to him in a minute. Let's look at his packaging. I do really like Marvel Universe packaging. It's very simple, yet it looks very cool. I really like, they always use really great images, and they just always make it look really nice. Reels on the back in a very stellar pose. A small bio and some figures from the rest of the wave. I just reviewed Cable and Cyclops in full HD, so check those out. Apocalypse comes with a display stand with his name and production number on it. I really like that they include these. They no longer do. This was the last series that did include them. Okay, so onto the package. Onto the figure. Like I said, I do really like him. The source of his, I guess, costume, you'd call it, I'm not exactly sure what time period it's from. But Apocalypse is, his uniform hasn't changed much over the years at all. This is his classic costume, the one that most people know. And as you can see, it's very similar. It's just a few different color options, and the shoulder pads are different. One thing that I do wish this one had was the A on his belt. It looks more like an H or something on his belt, but yeah, I wish it had that, and I wish he had this collar bit. He does have a collar, but I'm used to it coming, up almost all the way around his head. But not a big deal. All right, let's get to the sculpt and the paint. He is he's kind of mixed of old parts and new parts. Mostly he is made of that same, Thunder Thigh mold that Juggernaut uses, and Thanos right here. See, that's same torso, thighs, and arms. The things that are different would be his boots and his hands, and then of course his head, and these little extra things that they added on him, the shoulder pads and the tubings and his belt. But other than that, he's pretty much a repaint. One thing I don't like is this mold usually has a boot swivel. And he does wear boots, so it's easy to hide, but they took that out. He does not have a boot swivel. So, the sculpt is nice, though. It's got a lot of detail in there. Actually, I'm going to start with the boots. The boots are one of my favorite parts about it. They really look cool. There's a lot of detail on them. They really look clunky, real solid. Just, real cool looking boots. A lot of detail on there. And his hands, I especially like his hands as well. Very, Terminator looking hands. Very mechanical looking. I like that. All right, so, and then the body sculpt. There is a lot of detail in the muscles in there. It's good looking. The sculpt is nice looking. One thing about it though is it's lacking detail. It has some, here in these muscles, but it just kind of looks empty. Even the areas that have it, like this shoulder here, it just looks kind of empty. It looks like they didn't complete it almost. See, not much there. But the paint is nice looking. I like the metallic blue, and then this gray color throughout, and the little bit of shading and detailing it does have is nice. I really like his head sculpt as well. That's probably my favorite part about him. He does have that classic Apocalypse looking head sculpt. He looks a lot like Darkseid. Marvel often kind of copies DC characters, and vice versa, but he does look like Darkseid. I really like that. So his shoulder pads are really cool. I like that. I like his collar. It's got a nice paint on it. There's not much detail in it really, but I mean it is nice looking. I like his pads or his armor on his wrists. And now the tubing, I mean, Apocalypse does have tubes coming all through them, but they're usually a lot longer. These ones, you know, I don't really mind that these are shorter, but right here, these ones are too short in my opinion. I mean, he can't really, it really hinders the articulation in his elbow. Because, I mean, let's say he's standing like that and you want to move it up. I mean, that's about as far as it goes. You kind of have to bring it up, twist it around a little bit. I mean, if you get this guy, I mean, if you play with it enough, I mean, you can get him, you can get him, you know, you can get it moving. It's just, I know, I wish it wasn't that difficult, and I wish it was a little bit easier. All right, when you're looking for this guy in the stores, make sure, look for ones where those blue lips, make sure those are really straight. Make sure these blue parts up here are nice and neat. Make sure there's no blue where they're supposed to be on the gray, and make sure his eyes are painted in there neatly. And any of this detail, some of them will have like a lot of detail. You know, these little folds in his brow that are kind of, you know, dry brushed in there. A lot of them will have, you know, really dark on one side and almost non-existent on the other side. So I mean, you don't have to get them, you know, perfectly symmetrical, but it does look kind of silly when it's, you know, when it's really lopsided like that. So I mean, he is a nice looking sculpt. He has some detail, but it's a little empty. I forgot to show you the detail. The paint detail on his hands is remarkable. I wish the rest of his body was like that. Alright, so size comparison. This guy, he's one of the biggest Marvel Universe molds. Like I said, he's the same mold as Thanos. So if you have him, you can get an idea of what he looks like. He's also, you know, Juggernaut too. Anyway, here he is next to Commander Rogers. He's one of the taller, I guess, normal-sized figures. So I mean, he's a big figure, and he's real thick, and he's just real muscular. Okay, so articulation. He's got a ball-jointed head, but it's really just a swivel. Ball-jointed shoulders, swivel biceps, simple hinge elbow, swivel wrist, ball-hinged chest. He's got a ball-jointed hip, thigh swivel, double-jointed knee, and a ball-hinged foot. Swivels 360, and it kicks down and up a bit. He can stand up on his own pretty well without the stand. I mean, look, I mean, because he's got such big, solid feet, but he is a little bit clunky, so, I mean, he can just kind of, I don't know, if you play around with him too much, I feel like his joints get really loose, so just be mindful of that. Other than that, I don't know, well, you saw the whole review. He does have problems, but I do really like him. Alright, so should you get this guy? If you're an X-Men fan, yeah, go ahead and get him. I wouldn't pay any more than retail price for this guy. I mean, he's a nice figure. I like Apocalypse a lot, but he's just not, you know, stellar enough. He's just, I'm not a big fan of this mold. But, I mean, he does look good. They do utilize the mold pretty well. If you're not an X-Men fan, I mean, you can probably pass on him, you know, go and get a different, you know, big one that you like more. But definitely don't pay any more than retail price for it. I have been seeing this guy in Walmarts a lot, actually, and at comic shops. So, anyway, hope you found this helpful. Let me know what you think about the new full HD videos. And until next time, keep collecting.